call the September 24th council meeting to order. Deputy Chief Martin, would you give the invocation, please?
Yes, Your Honor. Father God, we gather here tonight. Once again, we thank you for our health, for our ability to be here. I ask, Father, that you would examine our hearts, fill us with wisdom, so the result of our efforts will bring glory to you and you alone. In Jesus' name I pray.
Amen. Chief Hawkins, would you lead us in the pledge, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The clerk will call the roll.
Taylor,
Present.
Peterson,
Present.
Lees, present. Heckmaster,
Present.
Edge, Snow,
Here.
Barlow,
Here.
Cossey,
Here.
Schramm.
Here.
All right, we'll move on to reading and consideration of minutes of the previous meeting. Looks like for September 10th and 6th. Cossey?
I have just a minor amendment, or actually I have two minor amendments, I'm sorry. So in the minutes from September 10th, there are a couple of times that we refer to a person just by their first name. So it's usually in the comments from the audience. They're talking about recommendations for Jason Martin as fire chief, and in several places in there we speak about it just being Jason. So I'd like to have that adjusted so that it just looks a little bit more professional, so that it says Jason Martin. And then on the third page of the minutes for that same meeting, there's a paragraph that starts during remarks from council members. The second line from the bottom, there's a small section that says with an employee. I'd like to have that stricken. So I had asked Mr. Gold a question about contracts. And so even though we had previously discussed that we had an issue where an employee had potentially been paid out without there being a contract, the question was just a general one, not necessarily specific to employees. And I think those are my only two changes.
And I also have a couple changes. And Miranda, I had sent this to you because it's rather long. So.
Do we vote on Tiffany's changes first? Or do you want them all under one?
I think you could vote on hers first. Okay. Pick up the others second.
I make a motion to accept Tiffany's changes to the minutes of September 10th.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to accept the additions to the minutes as Ms. Cossey requested. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Motion carried.
Okay, and I had a few. Can I proceed?
Sure.
Okay. Under the citizens' participation, Bill Putnam spoke, and I believe it's important for historical record to put a little bit more of his speech in this, and I had sent this to Miranda because it's rather lengthy. He addressed, and the change goes, that the complaint that was filed with the state auditor last fall largely involved operational concerns and following code and charter, the hiring of the city administrator and the mayor's responsibility to uphold the law. The charter 4.12, which states, the mayor should be active and vigilant in enforcing all laws and ordinances for the government of the city. He quoted from the report from the auditor that our investigation noted potential instances of noncompliance with the city charter and city code and opportunities for improvement of transparency in the city hiring and salary decisions. We would encourage city officials to ensure they follow city charter, city code, and all applicable rules and regulations for personnel matters. Mr. Putnam continues to say, there is no suggestion for any red flags against CWEP stated by the mayor in his recent statement. Mr. Putnam noted that there was an item on the agenda of unauthorized expenses and noted that documents that he had in that regard. He read from those documents that Mr. Dally wrote to the Attorney General in regards to employment contracts. Mr. Dally wrote the first response that the employment letters written by Mayor Rife to Mr. Dagnan, Mr. Dally states, these agreements traditionally are not ratified by the city council until the departure and should not be considered contracts. Our past city administrator's situation exemplifies this process. His agreement, effective upon council approval after his resignation, included a severance package that was subsequently ratified by the council. The second letter was a letter from Rife to Dagnan that he could only be fired for cause for a 10-year period and would receive 3 months of severance pay. Dally stated that the city administrator could be let go for any reason and is entitled to 2 weeks' pay. The provisions go against the city code and therefore would require city council approval for the mayor to execute a contract. Mr. Putnam discussed severance letter to Mr. Dagnan paying $81,000 stating it was pursuant to city code and your employment contract. This letter had not been approved by council. Mr. Putnam asked for Mayor Rife to resign because he had failed the city. He urged council members to file legal action to recover this inappropriately spent money. That's word for word from the video. And then under department head, I don't know which page it is, but it's Parks and Recs Director Abby Almendinger. It states in there that, and the dog park is near completion. The dog park was never mentioned by Abby. I watched the tape several times. And at the bottom, it said the chamber golf tournament is also the same day. That was never said on her part. I watched the statement several times. And then when we came back from closed session, it states Mayor Rife stated that there was a vote taken on the fire chief appointment in closed session and the vote would be released within 72 hours. He also stated there would be no appointment at this evening. And I would like to add to that. At that point, Mr. Bill Scheer made a public threat against the council. You are all going to go. You wait and see. And then he followed up with that threat against the council with a personal threat to Ms. Schramm. Schramm, you're next. I think that's important to put in.
What she's talking about was not a part of the council meeting. They didn't, it was just a comment from the galley. I don't think that that's part of the minutes. That should be, I understand
yeah.
what you're saying, but I think because it wasn't part of the council meeting, I don't think it should be in the minutes.
I don't think that you reflect generally in your meetings comments that were made during public comment.
Even, I thought it was important to put in because it was a threat against the council.
And we do put in the minutes public comment.
We do put public comments when they come up to the podium and state their name and address. That's part of the procedures that they have to come to the podium and
Are
state.
you referencing the things that were said as the meeting,
Yes.
as people left the meeting?
Yes.
No, we did.
No, she is referencing comments that were made as they were leaving the building. It was not part of the actual meeting.
It was part of the actual meeting, and it was when we were still seated.
Yeah, we were still in session. He stood up, and I've watched the video multiple times.
Yes, I
Yeah,
agree
right.
that I'm not saying that it didn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying I don't think it is part of the minutes because it was not part of the council meeting. Because we do put, when they come up to the podium and it's under public comments, we do have to put that, but it is required that they're supposed to state their name and all of that. That's just during the public comments. This did not happen during public comments. It was not, he was not addressed in any way. It was just a comment that was made in the galley as he was walking out the door. And we don't, like if someone shouted out right now, I don't think that, I mean, we would normally not put that in the minutes.
I mean, I would agree that if it's not part of the procedural aspect of the meeting, it wouldn't be relevant to the minutes.
To the minutes. So I'm not saying
Yeah.
that it didn't happen. It's just, it was not part of the actual meeting itself.
So my question, Mr. Gold, would be, is there any prohibition that says that we can't put it in? Typically, we don't put in actions from the gallery, but it's also not common to have someone request to have it included, and it does reflect accurately what occurred during the meeting. Is there any prohibition that stops us from putting that in the minutes?
I guess, my thought on that, Ms. Cossey, and I don't know that there's an exact prohibition that would prevent it, but if there are comments made, whether it's a whisper that somebody hears that you want to include, I guess where do you draw the line?
Sure, but again, there's no actual prohibition against it that
I'm
you're
not
aware
aware
of.
of one.
Okay.
It seems to me that a proper protocol would be to include in the normal minutes of any organization what's said during the proper procedural part of the meeting, rather than comments that might be said as an aside, as someone's leaving a meeting.
And I think that's a fair statement. However, I think that this was a pretty significant event, and I think that it's fair for the council to ask for something significant like a threat against council members to be captured in the minutes if it occurred.
I think you have a right to vote and make that decision.
Thank you, that's all I have.
So at this time, I would like to motion that
I have one as well.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Excuse me, that's okay.
Oh, do we need to vote separately though?
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Well, I have a question about what we're doing. I would like to ask, and I don't know if this is the proper time or if I need to do it after we vote, that we table the changes to the minutes, and maybe Miranda, you could forward to me so I could watch and compare on with the video, because that was way too much information for me to know verbatim, word for word, and I don't want to vote for something that I cannot verify.
You could always adjust that later.
Yeah, you can always amend the minutes retroactively.
I would like to table it. That's my opinion, but I don't know when in the process I could do that.
So,
We have a motion in a second to approve Janice.
yes, yeah, that's what I was doing when I was interrupted.
Who's second that?
I was in the process of doing that.
Okay.
Okay, so there's a motion and a second. Have we?
I don't know who seconded that. That's what I was asking.
So I think Jenna actually made the motion to make those changes. I'm the second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second to accept the amendments as presented by Ms. Tran. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No. Nay.
Okay. Can we get a
Nay.
raise of hands for the nays?
For the
so we
nays.
can get it?
For the entire thing or for part?
As
It's 5-3, it passes.
presented.
Okay. So what were the ayes were?
If you if you were an aye.
So we've got five ayes.
It was 5-3.
Okay. So that does not pass.
It does pass.
It does?
It's just a majority.
Just a majority
This one is a majority.
of present?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, motion passes.
One more small change. In the answered roll call, I was listed as answering and I was not present. It also does note.
Yeah, I caught that just a couple hours.
Thank you.
Well, that's not small at all.
I'll second.
It also said that you were absent.
It does, it does. I was totally confused what I was. Thank you.
Okay, so we've got a motion and a second. Do we need to, or did you already have that taken care of, Miranda?
We can vote on it.
Okay, motion and a second to make sure that Ms. Heckmaster did not answer in the affirmative that she was here. All right, any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay. Now, before we move on, I want to read a letter or a note here. It says, "Dear Mayor Reif and the members of the Carthage City Council, Please accept this letter as formal notification of my resignation from my position as a member of the Carthage City Council, effective 9/24/2024. It's with a heavy heart that I've made this decision. I ran for City Council with the intent to offer my background in the areas that I could be involved. I have enjoyed my time within the committees I have been assigned. While some may question this decision so soon after the election, it is one I need to make, as I am no longer able to be fully committed to the duties as needed. I truly do wish nothing but the best for the city of Carthage, its residents, and its employees going forward. I also pray that we can find peace in our current situation. I want to offer my sincere gratitude to everyone that I have had an opportunity to work with during my short time on council. It's apparent to me that we have great employees and residents who want to see the city succeed in every aspect. Thank you for the opportunity to serve. Signed, Dustin Edge, Ward 3. And I went ahead and read that since it was received so late that we did not have the opportunity to get it in all your packets. So I just wanted to read that to everyone. Yes, sir.
Point of order. I believe we voted to amend the minutes, but I don't believe we ever voted to approve the minutes.
To approve the minutes?
So at this time, I'll make a motion to approve the September 10th and the September 6th minutes.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to accept the minutes as amended. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
All right. Now we'll move on to public comments. Anyone wishing, hang on a second.
You have to accept the resignation.
Oh, I would accept the motion to accept the resignation of Mr. Edge. Or entertain a motion.
Do I need a motion or a second?
Motion.
I motion that we accept his resignation, unfortunately.
Okay.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second to accept the resignation of Dustin Edge. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. All right, now we'll move on to public comments. Anyone wishing to address the council, step to the podium, state your name and address, and please keep it to 5 minutes or less.
My name is Bill Shear. I live at 422 East 13th Street. I rise tonight to let this council know why I said what I said. You are playing with people's lives. That's not your job. They had a hiring committee for Jason Martin. They voted 6-0 to put him in as fire chief. You people want to be God. You want to play with people's lives, just like you did with Dagnus, just like you did with Dally. I mean, you people are pure evil.
Excuse me?
You can stop me. I can say what I want to say.
Why didn't you get gavelled?
Yeah, I mean, other people don't get gobbled when they make slanderous comments. Mayor.
Okay, let me go on. I've got 5 minutes, okay? This is my time, Miss Cossey.
He's addressing the council as a whole.
I am addressing the council as a whole. But you all are not doing what you were hired to do. I'm getting comments from people after this little episode calling out Mrs. Schramm for talking to a citizen from the Dice. That's not professional. And what I said was, when I left, I said, you're next. And you knew exactly what I was talking about. I wasn't talking about harming you in any way. When we were doing this recall, we had citizens say, what about the I-2nd lady? That's what people think about you and your ward. You've got 77 people on your side, and they better all vote. But, you know, I mean, that's how the public feels. They're tired of the circus that this council is putting on. And if you don't believe me, go out and talk to people in your ward. It took us less than a month to get 508 signatures, and nobody was intimidated like everybody wants to say they were. We don't work that way. We're not like you. We did it honestly. It was the first successful recall in Jasper County history, and you all made it possible. Ms. Cossey, I know you've got a vendetta against Jason Martin because he went out and helped. Nobody got you recalled but Ms. Cossey.
Yeah. Let's
Every council you've been on,
not,
all right. But
No-
anyway,
no
I've said what I said, and
personal-
what I said was not a threat, it was a promise.
Okay.
I'm Amy Grimes, 729 Highland. Good evening. I cannot begin to explain how extremely disappointed so many people are with the state of our city. I realize that no one gives a hoot about my opinion, but I can't sit still and allow this to continue without at least trying to do something to end it. Danny, you're dependent on a restraining order to hold through the recall of one of the most intelligent, hardworking city council members Carthage has ever had. You must know you're guilty, or you would not be frightened of an impeachment hearing. If you're not guilty, then why not prove it in the hearing? Let it play out and prove to everyone that you've done nothing wrong. You've stated more than once that you would do nothing to stall proceedings, yet you've stalled at every turn. You also recently stated that via a phone call between Mr. Daly and the Attorney General's office, CWIP was determined to have red flags and the state auditor had concerns. Last week, this was discredited by a verbal discussion between Mr. Bryant, the Attorney General, and the state auditor. Hard copies of this discussion are being sent. Why do you again feel the need to discredit CWIP? We have council members who are physically ill due to the stress of trying to do the right thing. We have citizens being allowed during a meeting to point out and threaten council members who disagree with them, with no action from the mayor to stop this disgraceful behavior. I love Carthage with all my heart and soul. I bleed Carthage blue, but I'm also very disheartened at the things that have been allowed to occur over the past few years. More money than required was paid to our former city administrator without the approval of our council. Citizens continue to be targeted. Friendships have been severed beyond repair. Council members are being coached by those who don't want the truth to come out, and we become the laughing stock of Southwest Missouri. When is this going to end? I must trust that good will prevail over evil. Danny, you must get control over what happens in council meetings. If you're innocent, then prove it by allowing proceedings to occur. Quit stalling. My heart hurts for you too. You were at one time someone I respected, but you alone have allowed things to go too far. Get control of meetings, look speakers in the eye. Speak so we can hear you, and allow the impeachment hearing to take place to prove yourself innocent or guilty. Thank you.
I'm Ron Wells, 2026 South Maple, Carthage, Missouri. Try to enlighten a little bit here. I want to thank Zeb Carney, he's not here tonight, but him and individuals who finally got the right tree corrected, figured out what needed to be done, and after he figured that out, in 3 days' time, we had the tree down, and it's a very safe look to the west to be able to pull out on Fairview. I thank them. I thank all the members on the work department and all the council members that helped have that happen. We had a second issue though I've been talking about, and I talked with the chief for just a moment. They already did a study on my street, and there was 4,319 individuals that passed through the speed control. 399 of them were above the 30 miles an hour. One was as high as 54 miles an hour. On the first page that the chief gave me, and he doesn't know who put this on there, but it says 0 tolerance. That was 0 tolerance at 30 miles an hour. When I go to the second page, they have again the 4,319 individuals checked at 30 miles an hour. But it says total enforceable was 8 out of that 399. It was also written on here, and he doesn't know who wrote that on there, there's 10-mile-an-hour tolerance. If you get 10 miles an hour tolerance on top of 30, that's 40 miles an hour. And of course, there were some that was going 54. That concerns me. Not just my street, for the whole city. If we're allowing an additional 10 miles an hour, especially in our residential area, it's a ticking time clock to when a young kid, student, possibly could get hit. We were doing this study hopefully to get a 4-way stop put down on the end of the street there. But to me, if we got this big of a allowance, and he said there was extenuating circumstances where someone would get a ticket lower than that, but they have a 10-mile-an-hour allowance, that maybe we need to reconsider the speed limit within the residential areas, especially in Carthage. So that was the two things. And I will be going to the safety meeting in October, presenting this again and seeing what we can do there. I just heard some comments here. I wasn't planning on speaking on this, but about people in Ward 5 not supporting Tiffany or Jan Schrum. And I also heard that there was nobody intimidated. Well, I had neighbors across the street from me told me that they wouldn't leave her doorstep until she signed it, even though she told them she didn't want to sign it. And there's another individual across town, elderly lady, senior citizen. She was afraid not to sign it. I'm sorry, but Tiffany, Janice Schram, we support you. There's more people in your area, especially on my block, that's going to support you in the recall vote. And there has been people intimidated. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm Debbie Smallwood. I live at 805 South Country Club Road. I am a bit concerned about things that have happened at the previous meeting, and I'm hoping, Mr. Mayor, that you can clear these things up. Aren't you in charge of the city council meetings?
Yes, ma'am.
If so, how can you allow a spectator in the meeting, if you are in charge, to publicly point a finger while targeting and threatening Janice Schram, an elected member of your council? This is horrific behavior and a total lack of respect. Threatening a person is considered a crime and punishable by law. A public display such as this should not be tolerated or allowed, and what you allowed to happen with you in charge is a disgrace to our entire community. At a previous meeting, you verbally, for all the council and visitors to hear, promised to allow the impeachment hearing to move forward without interference from you. Yet here we are once again, and you're going back on your word. Does a verbal promise mean nothing? I don't know about you, but my parents taught my brother and me that a man is as good as his word. I would have thought you would have wanted to move forward with this impeachment hearing to prove your innocence. I'm hoping before this meeting finishes that you will address these comments. Thank you.
I'm not slowing down the process. I'm requiring that the process be completed correctly.
Hi, I'm Barb Shear. I live at 422 East 13th Street. Bill Shear's my husband. I was here the night that the so-called threat happened when they didn't elect Jason in the position. After all this turmoil we've been through twice in closed meetings, waiting and waiting and waiting, everybody was upset. Everybody was getting up and leaving. And my husband turned around and said, pointed to Ms. Schramm, only Ms. Schramm, and said, "You're next," and everybody knew what that meant. It was the impeachment. And it would have already happened, but somebody has to be in office for 6 months before you can do a recall on them. That's the only reason she's not on the ballot in November. So that was a big threat. And then she got up and goes, "Bye-bye, Bill." That was very unprofessional. I'm done.
Joel, stop. It's not quick.
I'm Darren Collier, 528 East Centennial, board member, Carthage Water and Electric. I'm going to speak tonight on the press release that was sent out on September 5th this year, and then I will defer the podium to Ron Ross. Carthage Board response to Mayor Rife's September 3rd, 2024 press release dated September 5th, 2024. The Carthage Water and Electric Board is shocked by the statements made by Mayor Dan Rife in his press release issued September 3rd, 2024. Mayor Rife once again claimed the CWEP Board did not provide salary information to the council in 2023, which is patently false. The board provided the mayor, the city administrator, and city council all requested information last year and did so in a timely manner. Any statements or claims to the contrary are simply not true. Furthermore, we do not believe that there to be any factual base to the mayor's claim that the state auditor had concerns regarding CWEP or the CWEP board. Last week, Mayor Rife claimed the Missouri Attorney General's office saw, quote, red flags, now claims the state auditor had concerns. As of now, we have seen no documentation to support any of these claims. In fact, the auditor's summary report sent in April addressed to the mayor indicated concerns about the city's own compliance, stating these concerns, quote, would be better reviewed through an audit of the city of Carthage initiated by a petition, end quote. The CWEP board provides detailed financial information to the public monthly in conjunction with our board meetings, and the utility has many layers of internal controls in place to ensure the safeguarding of all CWEP funds. Mayor Rife's statement that CWEP is, quote, an environment ripe for potential abuse, end quote, is irresponsible and unsupported by fact. We would like to assure the Carthage City leadership, Carthage citizens, and all Carthage Water and Electric customers that we take these allegations very seriously and are doing our due diligence in investigating this matter. We have sent letters requesting more information to both the Attorney General and the State Auditor's Office, as well as City Hall. We will continue to lead with the utility with integrity and transparency and hope to do our part to help the Carthage community move forward from the turmoil of the past year and a half. However, we cannot remain silent with such inflammatory and imprudent statements being made. We stand by the work of the CWEP employees do on a daily basis to support our Carthage community and believe it is unfortunate the mayor would make public comments that cast doubt on them and their efforts. Thank you.
Thanks, Darren. We're going to break this up so that we would have, stay under our 5 minutes if possible. So, my name's Ron Ross. I'm current president of the CWEP board. I live at 11411 Golden Rod Road. I want to follow up on the facts our press release pointed out and present some further facts on the timeline of events of the past year. Though I sent a letter to City Hall on behalf of the board requesting more information, Regarding his assertions, I never heard anything from the mayor in response. Preliminary discussions with the Attorney General's office and the State Auditor's office indicate they are unaware of anything the mayor has referenced either in council meetings or in his press release. We'll follow up when we receive final confirmations from both agencies. I did speak to the General Counsel of the Attorney General's office, and he confirmed that. I want to briefly address statements in the mayor's press release indicating the CWP board failed to provide and were reluctant to provide salary information to the city council in 2023. These statements are problematic as they're inflammatory and false. A recap for the council: in 2023, CWE leadership received 3 different requests from 3 different people at City Hall, all requesting different things regarding compensation and all sent within 6 business days. While gathering the requested information, the CWP general manager met with the mayor twice, as well as the budget committee chair, to ensure the budget committee received the correct information. Both the mayor and budget chair indicated the information provided was sufficient, and all the information was given to the council and mayor within 2.5 weeks of the initial email. All requests and subsequent interactions are well documented and can be found in the minutes of the September 19th CWP board meeting. I believe you have them in your packets as well. 2 weeks after CWP provided all possible compensation information to City Hall, the City Council, under the direction and leadership of the mayor, and presumably the former city administrator and city attorney, voted to terminate the CWP board for a violation, quote, of a city ordinance. The mayor later made statements that CWP employees had physically threatened city employees, but has never provided any details of these alleged threats to anyone at CWP or the CWP board. Another unsubstantiated claim. Eventually, an agreement was reached between the CWP board and the city. As part of that agreement, a joint press release was issued June 30, 2023, stating there were no violations of city ordinance. This press release read, quote, "At the suggestion of the mayor, representatives of the city and the CWP board have met. As a result, the parties have resolved their differences. There were some miscommunications which obviously got out of hand. The motion, excuse me, the motion to remove is to be reconsidered, and the present board will continue to serve out their present terms. There will be an open meeting where the issue will be addressed. In the meantime, the present CWP board will continue to function and perform its duties. To be clear, both sides thought they were acting properly, but it is now clear that there was no violation of any ordinance by anyone," close quote. Both sides agreed to issue the press release and refrain from further comment regarding the entire situation. The CWP board and CWP employees have done their part in remaining silent until now. But the mayor continues to make public statements intended to cast doubt on CWP employees and the CWP board, and it needs to stop. We feel those comments are so egregious, we must now respond. I'm proud to be a very small part of the Carthage Water and Electric plant, but the real value of CWP comes from the finest group of professionals and genuinely good people I've ever had the privilege to know and work with. They lead the way in not only providing us with reliable, affordable utilities and in planning for future needs, but also in proactively supporting local activities and events and making our city a better place to live and raise our families. Over the past year and a half, we've been told we violated city ordinances, we're derelict in our duties to provide requested information, that our employees physically threatened other city employees, and the CWEP is, quote, "an environment ripe for potential abuse," close quotes. All these statements caused harm to not only the CWEP board members, but to all the professional men and women who work at CWEP, to the city, and to the city as a whole. I ask you, Mayor, if you want to look up, to please stop the continued unwarranted attacks on CWEP. The city of Carthage, all of its employees, its citizens, and CWEP ratepayers deserve better. Thank you.
All right. Nothing further. Obviously, there are differing perspectives on the interactions described as there was no wrongdoing found during the removal of the board, even though they were reappointed soon after. We also have a folder documenting the whole process, and be more than happy to provide that if you'd like. So we will move on now to report of standing committees. Budget, Ways and Means, Chairman Snow.
Budget Ways and Means is currently between meetings. Our next meeting will be October 14th at 5:30 in council chambers.
All right, Committee on Insurance Audit and Claims, Chairperson Cossey.
Yes, the Committee on Insurance Audit and Claims met this evening at 5:30 p.m. in council chambers. We approved disbursements of $3,563,682.84. We had staff reports. They made note that the auditor is here, and for those of you who hear auditor, don't be concerned. The city has an annual audit every year. It's just part of our due diligence in trying to make sure that our financials are presented accurately. So they are here to do their on-site work this week. Also, Ms. Cox mentioned that the city is getting ready to go through insurance negotiations. And so we'll probably have more of an update on that at the next council meeting. And then our next meeting is October 8th at 5:30 p.m. To be held here in council chambers.
All right, thank you. Public Safety, Chairperson Heckmaster.
The Public Safety Committee met at 5:30 p.m. Monday, September 16th, here in council chambers. We heard from Michael Hendricks regarding the Cruisin' Main Street event, at the first car show organized by Mr. Hendricks and held at our beautiful Carthage Square on the evening of August 30th. There were 50 cars on display. Staying open that evening were Cherry's, the Carthage Deli, and Hacker's Coffee Shop. Mr. Hendricks thought this was an encouraging first-time attendance, with many residents coming to see the vehicles and dining with the various food vendors, or food businesses, and so did our committee. The final Cruisin' Main event of the year will occur Friday, October 11th, 2024 from 6 to 9 p.m. Just like the August 30th car show, for the October 11th car show, the Carthage Square will be blocked off from 5:30 to 9 o'clock p.m. Blocking off the square for both dates was previously approved by the City Council. The only change for the October 11th car show is to allow vendor stalls to be arranged around the perimeters of the square during the Cruisin' Main Street event. Prior to setting up vendor stalls, Mr. Hendricks committed to checking with storefront managers to seek their approval. At this time, I make a motion that vendor stalls be allowed and arranged around the perimeter of the square during the October 11th Cruisin' Main event.
I second.
Have a motion and a second to allow vendor stalls to be arranged around the square during the for the October 11th Cruisin' Main Street. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
We also heard from Abby Almendinger regarding a new parade to honor our veterans. Our committee reviewed with enthusiasm the Veterans Day parade plans. The Carthage Veterans Day Parade will take place on November 9th at 2 p.m. and end around 2:30 p.m., depending upon the number of participants. Lineup time, participants will begin lining up at approximately 1:30 p.m. between Main and Chestnut and Main and 5th. The parade will start on Main and 5th and proceed around the Carthage Square and down Grant, ending at Grant and Chestnut. Participants will range from veterans walking, marching bands, and decorated trailers. Road closures, the following roads are requested to occur at, closures are requested to occur at 1:00 p.m. Main closed from 3rd to Chestnut, 3rd Street closed from Main to Grant, Grant Street closed from 3rd to Chestnut. I make a motion that on November 9th from 1:30 p.m. until the end of the Veterans Parade, the following streets will be closed. Main Grant from Chestnut to 3rd Street and 4th, 5th, and 6th Streets between Grant and Main.
A second.
I have a motion and a second to allow street closures as outlined by Ms. Heckmaster for the Veterans Day Parade on November the 9th, beginning at 1 p.m. and running until the end of the parade, which should be 2:30 or so.
Yes.
All right. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
The next meeting of the Public Safety Committee will occur beginning at 5:30 p.m. on Monday, October 21st, here in council chambers.
All right. Thank you. Public Services, Vice Chair Kasi, please.
Thank you. So please bear with me as I kind of go through this. I hadn't planned to present this evening, at least not on this. So for the Public Services Committee, we met and we discussed a bid for golf carts. Currently, that has been tabled and it will be coming back up for bid. And then we passed the liquor license, a by the drink license, I believe. Is that correct, Abby?
A resort license.
A resort license. So how does that differ from other types of licenses?
The resort license gives us the opportunity to allow for the hard liquor that comes in for tournaments and that type of thing, but no sales of that type of thing are going to be occurring at that time.
Okay, thank you. So that was passed at Public Services. Then we also approved the ability for food trucks or for a specific food truck, I believe, to be in the park for longer than the allotted 15 minutes during a specific rodeo event that's occurring, at the Saddle Club Arena. And then we discussed a bid for a new sign for Memorial Hall. We're going to see that in new business tonight as Council Bill 2450. And I feel like I have missed one other thing that I know is up for resolution. I skipped right past that. Also dealing with the Saddle Club Arena. We discussed the surplus of a building at Saddle Club Arena. It's my understanding that the building is in rough shape, so I think we're looking to demolish that. And we voted to bring that on to City Council, and we're going to see that as Resolution 2055 in tonight's packet. We will have our next meeting on October 15th here in council chambers at 5:30 p.m. I think is when we normally. And that's all.
All right, thank you. Public Works, Chairman Taylor.
We are currently between meetings at this time. We should have next meeting the first Tuesday of the month. If there's anybody that has anything that they would like to discuss at the Public Works meeting, please let me or Rachel Sutherland at Public Works know so we can get it on the agenda. We haven't had a whole lot of business here lately to discuss. We haven't had a meeting to save the city money. And but if you have something to discuss, you can call me at any time. My phone is always on, and I usually don't sleep a lot. So. And if that's not good enough, then call during working hours between 8 and 4 at the Public Works Department, and somebody down there will take care of your problem. Thank you.
All right, thank you. We will move on to report of special committees and board liaisons. Ms. Heckmaster.
The Planning, Zoning, and Historic Preservation Commission met September 5th, 2024, beginning at 5:30 p.m. in City Hall, council chambers. The commission considered a request for a special use permit for the operation of a carnival at the Fair Acres parking lot next to the YMCA at 2600 Grand. This permit is in conjunction with the annual Maple Leaf Festival. Julie Reams talked about the carnival and its importance to the festival. The commission approved the carnival. The next meeting is scheduled for Thursday, October 3rd, 2024 at 5:30 p.m. here in City Council chambers.
All right, thank you.
I do want to add that they were unable to get Carnival this year, so that is not being forwarded on to council.
Okay, I had not been notified.
They are
Thank you.
working to get someone secured though for next year.
Thank you.
All right. Mr. Peterson.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Kellogg Lake Board met on September 16th at 6 p.m. at the SMB Community Room. Two main items of business this month. There's a landscaping project that'll be on the south side where the new bathrooms and playground equipment are. So currently the board's assessing two different contractors to move forward with that project, but that'll be a beautiful addition to an already great space there with the new playground equipment and bathrooms. And then the second main item of business was a pavilion. This is a phased project, but a pavilion will be built on the north side, so more the main entrance, if you will. That's being done by Yoder Construction. And like I said, this will be the first part of a larger plan. So looking forward to see those projects develop. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Ms. Lee.
Carthage Water and Electric Board met on September the 19th at 3 p.m. and they approved their disbursements for August in the amount of $6,416,625.43. They had three things on the new business. They did a consideration of bids for articulating telescopic bucket truck, and they did accept a bid for this from Alltech Industries in the amount of $265,213. And then they discussed their health insurance plan for their partners, and they accepted Cox Partners for that plan. And then they discussed and reviewed the timeline of events for 2023, as Mr. Ross stated earlier in his statement. And the next meeting for the Carthage Water and Electric Board will be the third Thursday in October. Help me, Miranda, I'm sorry, I didn't write the date. Do you have it handy? That's okay. At 3 p.m.
The 17th?
17th, thank you. Just didn't write it.
All right, thank you. Anyone else? All right, Mayor's report. Did meet with the CEDC last Thursday. Also did attend the CWNEP board meeting. We will move on to report or remarks from council members. Ms. Shrim.
Oh, good.
Sorry.
Yeah. Mine may be a little bit lengthy, but don't be afraid. Today I had several meetings. I kind of do a life motto. If you invite me, I tend to show up. I didn't make it to the CWEP board meeting the other day, and I asked Chuck if I could come in this morning before he left for St. Louis for his meeting, and he graciously let me. I wanted to discuss with him the large packet in our agenda tonight and why it was there, and he went through the timeline with me. That's the first time it's a complete timeline of what happened with the CWEP and between the city and the administration and the council. And he went through every step with me, telling me how many times he had met with the mayor, how many times he had talked to different council members, what had been said with the mayor at each meeting, and how Danny had told him it was good to go. They had provided all the information that they needed. There's no lack of information right now. We're good to go, and then things went bad. So they had been quiet till this point, and like Mr. Ross said, it's time to speak up with the truth. And so that was Chuck's side of that story. I've attended many, many board meetings at CWEP because I believe it's my job to educate myself as your council person And I've always said it's a master class in energy. They're always working for how to save money for the city, how to realign their resources even daily or hourly to save money and be more efficient for our city. One of the things I wanted to point out was Kelly Nugent. She is the CFO. She has been elected as the chair of business and finance of the APPA, the American Public Power Association. That's 100 different utility companies from all over the United States that help advocate, educate, and train. So that was a very, very big honor for her to do that. She is excellent at her job. Also, I'd been approached by a citizen asking about the internet, wondering if the city is paying for the internet and it's losing money. This is a very capital-intensive program to start with. It's not making money as of yet, but if you're like me and switch to the fiber optics, if you were lucky enough to have them in your area, my husband and I both work from home, and we have been nothing but pleased with the speed of service, with the service itself if the router is bad and somebody coming out. It's an excellent, excellent service that our CWEP is providing on that, and Jason Peterson has done an excellent job with his team. There's about 15 to 20 houses they can set up for a week, and they may be mad at me advocating for them so strongly because they can't keep up with this now. But let me tell you, it is something that is very important to this town, and I believe you would also love it if you have it. The board meetings are every third Thursday of the month. I say if you have any questions, please attend these board meetings. You will be thoroughly impressed by the transparency, the efficiency, and the knowledge that you will get from those. Then I went around to Jeff Meredith at the CEDC today to see if there was anything that I could tell for him about the program for the housing survey, because I think this is very important. A priority to get businesses into this town is to have that housing survey so he can take it to different industrial areas to show that we can have and should have housing in these price ranges. It's going to come out on a Survey Monkey. It will be an email, and I'll let you know, and I'm sure the city will put up on their site exactly what that email will state so people will know it won't be spam and to please answer it. And he said the important thing is to get it out to the businesses so the actual employees, they may not be from here, but they could answer a survey on why they need housing and what price range to do that. The hotel survey is also very important. As you know, we have 3 hotels, maybe 4 in the area, to see if we could draw in more hotel chains if they're needed. So I think that's very important for tourism as well as commercial use. And he said the sidewalk grant for the area around the square has been submitted. This is the area that's already approved, and we're waiting on directly around the square, and the areas in the blue and red, which is approximately a block off each way of the square to Central, has been submitted. So we're waiting on the grant approval of that. And then I went to the chamber to catch up with Julie Reams and see how the golf tournament went, and she said the golf tournament went well, and Tyler and his team did an excellent job for her in signage and keeping up with things. She was very impressed. And if any of you have seen the chamber lately, they have new signage outside that looks very fresh and nice, and she's very proud of that. And in the spring they will do an upgrade on the outside of that so we look more progressive and up to date. So that's very exciting. Her board approved that. And I asked her, I spoke for all of us, if there was anything that council could do for her or volunteer as a group for Maple Leaf, because I think it's important we're present in our town. And she said at this point, if you could just be present at an event so people could see you out in the area, it would be very important. So the list now is up online for all the events, so please attend. And she said jump in where you can. And she went over the porta potties will go out on the 17th. That's Thursday the 17th. And she stated that it has been a pleasure to work with the fire department, the police department, and the street department. They've been over and above accommodating in her needs. This year's Grand Marshal has been announced at Cheryl Finley. And the new project, and if anybody knows Cheryl, she is Miss Carthage, so congratulations to her. The new items are going to have. The Touch-A-Truck is bigger and better, and I wish my grandson was here during that time because he would just be crazy, as I'm sure Ben will be for Miranda. And the Renaissance with the Faith Lutheran Church is a new item, and that she's very excited to grow the Maple Leaf Festival, and the Truck and Tractor Pull. On October 9th, Julie has her Empowering Women. It'll be a year's worth of the Empowering Women Luncheon, and the speaker is Mary Messner. She's a national keynote speaker, and they're lucky to have her because it piggybacks on something Leggett is doing. So any woman that would love to come hear her speak, she's on how to do better in the workforce and your job. The lunches are provided by Butterball, and they're delicious, and it's a wonderful way to empower women. I would thoroughly suggest that you could do this. And then the last thing I did on this list was, you're going to be surprised, Jason Martin and I had a meeting today, and we talked. And was there anything we disagreed on today, Jason? We had an excellent meeting on how to look forward to the future. We all want the same thing. Please be aware, we all are for Carthage, no matter how we get there. And I'm very proud of Jason. And he's an excellent fireman, and I told him an excellent dad, an excellent citizen, and I'm glad that you accepted to speak with me. Thank you, Jason. And I'll save the last thing for closing. Thank you.
All right. Ms. Gossie.
Yes, so I have the only thing I really want to speak on out of all of my notes would be a couple of things regarding CWEP. I have to say I am really concerned about the things that have happened recently, and mostly I am concerned that some of those statements that have been issued by you, Mayor, and by, actually I guess primarily by you, might be cause for the threatened lawsuit that arose last summer to come back. So as you may know, the people who were on the board and who were dismissed in that closed session reached out to an attorney and began working on a lawsuit. We had come to an agreement, the city and the board, and after that happened, the lawsuit was put on pause. It did not go away, and so my concern is that we may have a violation of that agreement, and that lawsuit could come back. But I would also like to make sure that we enhance our understanding of exactly what's been going on. And back when this happened, the city council voted that we would like to have a joint meeting with the Carthage Water and Electric Board. And I believe that you were in charge of bringing some proposed dates forward, but it's been more than a year now and we've not heard that. So I would like to, at this time, I know we have some CWEP board members here. I'd like to ask if you're still amenable to having that joint meeting. Probably, okay.
And that depends on the context and the approach. That if you're truly wanting information, we're transparent as can be. We'll be glad to provide all the information possible. But if it's he said, she said, I don't know that that's a good idea.
And I mean, I can't speak for everyone else.
I'm speaking for myself.
Right, and likewise, I can't speak for all of the council members. I would like to see it just be an informational session and a discussion. So at this time, I would like to make a motion that since it doesn't seem to have been scheduled, that the city council try to go ahead and get that on the schedule. Preferably, I mean, my hope would be here within the next couple of weeks. I don't know if that's something that can happen. I don't know the schedules of the board members. Do you, Mr. Ross, know what dates might be good?
I know my own schedule. That's all I know.
Okay. Is that something you would like to try to coordinate and have us vote on at the next city council meeting, those dates? Or would you like us to propose dates this evening?
I can circulate it amongst the board and discuss it. Yeah, we can discuss it at the next board meeting, which is the 3rd of October, but that's more than 2 weeks. But we can look at everybody's calendar and see what we've got. I know that I've got from the middle of October for a couple of weeks, I've got scheduled out of town, so, but
okay,
it's just gonna take some coordinating. as you're aware.
Sure, yeah, there are an awful lot of people involved, and I imagine we would probably want to do it on a night that's not the regular city council night. So if you wouldn't mind to come up with a few proposals, and Tracy has generously offered to be the liaison.
I'll circulate the thought and see what everybody's schedule looks like, get with Chuck, and go from there, and then we contact you, or?
If you wouldn't mind, Tracy said she would be happy to do that since she's our interim city administrator. Okay, so yeah, if you would reach out to her with some dates, and then maybe she can come back to the council with those dates, and we can vote on a date that would work that's in your set parameters. Does that sound good? Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate it. And that's all I have this evening.
All right, thank you. Mr. Barlow? Mr. Snow?
Nothing tonight.
Ms.
Nothing
McMahon?
tonight.
Ms. Lees?
I was remiss in my duty earlier, and I didn't mention one of the things about Carthage Water and Electric that I did find out. I don't know if you all recall the meeting that when Mr. Bryant came up and he told us about the Power Emory, the services with the Emory reported to Dogwood Services that they were doing well. And he said, you know, when you do it, it's a gamble. You don't know if you're always going to do well, but I have to say, currently, we are doing well. I believe it resulted in a $600,000 net margin, and I know that was in the minutes too. But I apologize for not bringing that up because so far that's really been a well paid off investment for them. So, and then the only thing I would like to say is, as far as a comment that was made earlier, and this is the second time someone's accused, and I'm not saying they accused it on me, may have been talking about someone else, but saying that I've been fed incorrect information. No one has fed me information. If someone's told me information, it's because I've asked for something from people, but mainly I do a lot of digging in the ordinance. I do a lot of digging and I'm learning a lot. And you're right, Jana, thank you for your comment about CWEP. Come to the meetings because you will learn a lot about different things they do. And I was late the last meeting and I don't like it when I'm late, but you know, we're all one city. And that's what I want to say is I make every decision I make up here, I make it from what I feel like and what the neighbors that I can communicate with and do communicate with on some of them daily, but I try to make the best informed decision at the time. If I don't understand of something, I've abstained from a vote before, and if you want to talk to me, feel free. There has been a couple of people that have reached out to talk to me about different things, and I am willing. I will not lie, my schedule is crazy busy, and it's very hard for me to find times because I still have my job that I have to work a lot of hours on. But I just want people to know that I loved what you said, Jana, that no matter what or how we feel about anything in this room, that we all want the best for the city. And I truly believe that that's how we should all be, is wanting the best for the city. And I don't know, I get really frustrated sometimes, and I'm like, oh, another meeting. And I don't want to go because, you know, I hear people making comments about me and things, and I hear laughter, and I hear things like that, but I hear it on both sides, and we all need to, excuse me, but we, and me included, we all need to grow up a little bit, and we need to respect each other. Even if we disagree, we can respect. And I will respect whoever is in the seat. So thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Mr. Peterson?
I think that's very well said, Ms. Lees, but I don't have anything further.
Mr. Taylor?
The only thing I have tonight is I am kind of sad to see Dustin Edge go. I think he was very well needed here. I'm going to be sorry to see him go. And that's all I have.
All right, thank you. All right, we'll move on to administrative reports. Chief Hawkins, anything? Ms. Almendinger?
Yes.
Got to shake
Thank
it
you.
up on you a little bit.
Yeah, I do have a couple of things that I wanted to respond to that I had seen on social media. I just want to set the record straight about a couple of things that I had been reading. The money that is being spent on improvements improvements throughout the parks are through the use tax. The Parks Department receives 40% of that, of all of the use tax for 3 years. So we have been receiving use tax money. All the departments get use tax money, but my department particularly receives 40%. So that's what these improvements are being, that's what the money is being spent from. The funds cannot be used for any other purpose. They must be made on improvements within the park system. It's my job to make a recommendation and present it to the committee, who then decides if it should move forward to council. I do not make any unilateral decisions. The sign at Memorial Hall has not worked in 9 months. We attempted to repair it and quite literally purchased the last component for the sign from the company that sold it to us 10 years ago. Those components and signs were not made any longer. As far as the golf carts go, we were told that our warranty with the company was up, which was prompted us to look into updating the carts and the fleet. The golf numbers that are referenced on social media are incorrect. We have earned a profit. That happened for the first time in the history of the golf course in 2023, and we continue to make a profit. The funds that would be used on such a purchase are from the revenue from the golf course. It is not taxpayer dollars. So that was incorrect. That was stated there. And then these funds cannot go towards any other needs that the city has either. So I've seen a lot of commentary about, how come we haven't made improvements in infrastructure or roads or, what have you. It's just not possible with the golf fund balance. It has to be used for the golf course. It is a privilege as well as an obligation to make improvements to the park system for the community to enjoy, and I strive for the parks to be a source of pride for Carthage. Thank you.
And Mayor, before we move on to the next comment, okay, do you have it?
I'm going to cover that.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Deputy Chief Martin.
One quick update on our new fire engine that cost a lot of money. We got it, we picked it up Friday and drove it back, and we're in the process of getting the lettering and striping and all that put on it and outfitted with tools. It should be in service shortly. We'll definitely have it ready for the Touch-A-Truck and the Maple Leaf Parade. It's a little different color scheme than what we've had in the past. Predominantly have been yellow with white, and we decided to start changing that look, and it'll have more black on the top instead of white. But it's a very sharp looking truck. Anybody's invited to stop by and take a look at it. We're gearing up for Maple Leaf. Pancake feed will be on Maple Leaf morning. We're gonna move the time up to 5:30 to start, and we're gonna shut it off at 9 so that our guys can attend the parade with their families. And I appreciate Ms. Schramm's offer to sit down and talk today. It was informational. It was a very good conversation, and I think it moves us in a positive direction. So I want to thank her for that, and that offers for anybody that wants to sit down and talk about the fire department operations and my vision or goals for the department. That's all, Mayor. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Jason, how's the repairs going on 612? Did they get that head gasket fixed?
It's engine 621.
Or 621.
It got towed. I should have had that on my list. We had it towed to a local diesel mechanic today. He'll be ordering the parts to do all that work. He had a great reputation in Joplin, but when he moved his business to Carthage, we were pretty much, it wasn't a contract, but Rick Smith out by Alba did all of our maintenance. And when he retired, we've just been bidding around trying to get somebody that we trusted to do good work for a fair price. I believe we found that. Chris's Roadside Diesel will be doing the repairs. You can see it. You can see our truck out across from Pleasant Valley School in his shop, because that's where it'll probably be for the next few weeks.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, thank you. Ms. Cox.
Yes, I want to add that, we do hear a lot about the city and CWEP, and sometimes we do have to have a vision, but actually the employees have always worked together and continue to work together. And the company that Jason is getting the fire truck repaired at actually came as a recommendation from Water and Electric. So contrary to what everybody thinks, the employees do get along, and we do continue to work together and support each other. So the golf course funds that Abby was discussing, it was brought to my attention that there had been some discussions on social media, and I want to clarify. So the golf course is an enterprise fund. It is not part of the general revenue fund. However, up until 2022, there was a transfer from the general fund to the golf course fund to help subsidize. So if you would have taken that transfer out, it would have been at a loss. However, we did stop doing that transfer in 22. And so in 23 and 24, even without the transfer from the general revenue fund to the golf course fund, it has been profitable. Unfortunately, we are having some difficulties with our new software. You know, it's always a challenge when you implement new software. So the information that Tiffany had been working off of was information that did come from the new software, and that's why it is not out on the website yet, because we are experiencing problems with it. So when the information that she used, to her knowledge, was accurate, and so there wasn't any malfeasance with that. Unfortunately, it is something that we continue to work on to get our new software up to date and accurate numbers. And moving on to Maple Leaf, it is a big challenge for Julie with Maple Leaf. And I want to say that last year, I actually worked with Julie several days to help her because she doesn't have enough volunteers. And one thing, after the parade, we had gone down to the car show, I believe, and we get a call about the trash service, and the trash from the parade was everywhere. She had hired the workers from the crisis center. They were supposed to take care of the trash. She thought it was covered. Unfortunately, it didn't work out as planned, and so Julie and I were picking up trash, and then the park department came to the rescue and helped us as well. And so the park is going to be working with the chamber this year to take care of the trash service. So during the Maple Leaf, on the day of the parade. So we won't experience that, but there are always other areas in which she can use a lot of help. So that's all I have tonight, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Mr. Gold? Nothing tonight. All right. We will move on to report of claims against the city.
The Committee on Claims filed a report in the amount of $3,563,682.84.
I'd like to motion that we approve the claims as presented.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to accept the claims and allow payment. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We'll move on to old business.
Okay, I don't know what's happening, but I can't display the name of the ordinance. It is late.
I don't, my agenda doesn't have any old business on it.
Mine has Council Bill 2448.
When did you print yours,
Wait.
Tiffany?
Yesterday.
We amended it at like 4:30 yesterday.
Oh, okay, I must have printed it before that.
I know that
thought
when I opened mine yesterday,
It links.
the name was like
Yeah, and that's how it's showing up
super
here.
long and
So
it wouldn't load, but if you clicked on it, it loaded.
I'm not sure how that happened, but it is on there, I do know that. Second reading of Council Bill 2448, an ordinance to amend Section 2-122 of Chapter 2, Article 3, Division 2 of the Code of the City of Carthage, Missouri.
Any discussion? Cast your votes.
guys getting it?
Did you get it? I don't know.
See if we push the e-vote button, maybe. Ah, if you push e-vote.
I did it.
Okay, mine popped up after I did
There we go.
Terry, did yours pop up again?
It didn't.
Are you? Yes, sir.
Council bill passes. All right, we'll move on to new business.
The first reading of Council Bill 2450, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract with DPI Printing and Signs for the installation of a new electronic messaging board at Memorial Hall in the amount of $32,256 in the city of Carthage, Missouri.
Any discussion?
Solomon Digger, is this also from the use tax?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, just making
Yes.
sure on that. Warranty,
That's a 5-year warranty.
5-year?
Mhm.
Okay.
All right. Move on to mayor's appointment.
So the first one on the agenda was the mayor's reappointment of Julie Tilley and Morgan Hausch to the Care Leave Committee until December 2025, and the reappointment of Bill Smith, Chad Deininger, and Tyler Markham to the Care Leave Committee until August 2026.
Motion to approve the Care Leave Committee appointments.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the Care Leave Committee appointments. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
The next one was the mayor's reappointment of Gary Keene to the Civil War Museum Board until December 2026.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the appointments to the Civil War Museum Board. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
The mayor's reappointment of H.J. Johnson to the Zoning Board of Adjustments until December 2028.
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the appointment to the Zoning Board of Adjustments. Any discussion? Mr. Snow?
This zoning board of adjustment is not planning and zoning.
Correct.
This one's the one that meets on call that doesn't
On
meet.
like variance.
Very rarely.
Very
yeah.
rarely, okay. Just wanted to clarify that this isn't the
Right.
monthly one.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
And the mayor's reappointment of Brian Stringer to the Carthage Tree Board until June 2027.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the appointments to the tree board. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We will move on to resolutions.
Resolution 2054, a resolution approving the recommendation of the McCune Brooks Regional Hospital Trust for the distribution of funds from the restricted trust fund to the Jasper County Youth Fair.
Mr. Snow?
Motion to adopt resolution 2054.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to adopt resolution 2054. Any discussion?
I am really proud of these hardworking kids. They've also, this is a matching fund. They received some funds in memory of Gary Wampler, and they have the new livestock building that has runoff coming from the roof that is eroding the dirt around and compromising a concrete pad. Very modest request. And if they have enough money for the north side, they're gonna work on the south side. So appreciate if we're able to support them.
All right, anything further? Cast your votes. Resolution stands adopted.
Resolution 2055, a resolution approving the declaration as surplus to the city's needs and authorizing the disposition of a storage shed building at the Saddle Club Arena located in Municipal Park.
I motion to approve the resolution.
A second.
I have a motion and a second to adopt resolution 2055. Any discussion? Cast your votes. Resolution stands adopted. All right, that concludes business for the open part. Ms. Heckmaster, any closing comments?
Not tonight, Your Honor.
Mr. Snow?
I just wanted to comment on Miss Lisa's comment earlier. You know, as council members, we're all here to do what's best for the city. We all have constituents that we talk to, but I personally have been accused of taking information from people telling me how to vote. I've been accused of telling other council members how to vote. And I think it's very important to know that on council, you have to weigh what's best for the city. You have to weigh what's best for the department or whatever group is going to be benefiting from whatever we're voting on. And I think it's very important to realize that you also do have to take into consideration somewhat your own interest in those types of things. So I hope and I believe that we are all independent council members, but I also believe that we have to take input from people. And that input doesn't mean we're being fed information. It just means we're gathering information. I hear a lot of information on both sides of most issues, and I have to weigh out which is best, which way should I vote. And so I appreciate your comment earlier, Ms. Lees, and I believe that we are all good council members. Thank you.
All right, Ms. Barber. Ms. Cossey?
Yeah, so just kind of coming back to the golf course items. So as Ms. Cox mentioned, the post that was made by me, and it was from the budget book that was presented to us, the printed budget book that was presented to us just immediately prior to voting on the budget. Also, as Ms. Cox said, the updated budget numbers are not posted on the website, so that's what we had to go off of. So I'm looking forward to comparing the new numbers against the old numbers to see why they differ and why they differ so significantly. Also, one point of contention, I think that there was a statement that was made that was a little bit misleading that said that the money from the golf course isn't taxpayer dollars. That's not true. All money that comes into the city are dollars that belong to the taxpayers. And so while that money may only be able to go back into the golf course, it would reduce the amount of money that the city has to allocate to that fund if monies are allocated to that. So I still think we have to be very cautious with the way we spend any money, regardless of what fund it comes out of. And we need to make sure that we're making prudent expenditures. And that's all I have for this evening.
All right, thank you, Ms. Schramm.
Yes, I was lucky enough, and thank you so much for letting me attend the MML, the Missouri Municipal League Convention in Branson this past weekend and Monday. I went with Tracy and Miranda and Lori, and it was a very well-run organization. You make a lot of connections there. It was very important to go. The sessions that I attended were Marketing Your Community in the 2020s, which is a big switch to social media, and how to use it, rules and regulations for how to use it, what best serves your community and what your reach would be. So it was extremely informative. And then planning and zoning, which actually I stepped in the wrong room, so I just sat down, but it was a wonderful session on how to effectively hold a zoning hearing, which was great. And then the best thing that came out of that was when somebody steps in asking for a zoning permit, their answer is yes until they can make it a no to you, to give you reason to say a no. So I think that's a great thing to move forward in your community, that everything's a yes until you give us a reason to say no. So I really appreciated that perspective on zoning and for the growth of Carthage. I think we should adopt that. So thank you very much for letting me attend, and I hope I get to attend next year.
All right, thank you. Mr. Taylor?
I have nothing tonight, Your Honor, thank you.
Ms.
Nothing
Peterson?
tonight, Your Honor.
Ms.
I also
Lee?
wanted to say thank you for allowing me to attend. I know that the city lets us attend the MML. It was very informational. I went to multiple sessions. And it was enjoyable, but we had made connections and I've got to see some things and it was fun. I did meet some people that knew and worked with some of our CWEP people, and they were excited about that and excited that we were there with our city. So that's all I have tonight, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right. Do you
I
have
motion that we
close? Yep. Have you got the
I have to read it, yes.
information for the closed session?
And actually, before you read that, since I was the one who requested that closed session, there have, as you know, there have been a number of very recent events that have occurred. And so the reason for that closed session, I would actually like to move that we table that until a later date.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Got a motion and a second to table or just not have the
Or
close?
I would just
Yeah.
motion that we cancel it and
Cancel,
then we
okay.
put it on the agenda at a later date.
Okay. All right, motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Now I'd like to motion that we close the meeting this evening.
Nope.
No, adjourn.
No.
I'm
Nope.
sorry.
We can just adjourn now.
I motion that we adjourn. Thank you for
Second.
Thank you.
keeping me straight on my decorum, Alan.
Got a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Good job, Lori.